A man in a perfectly tailored Regency coat, hair slicked back, standing in a grand ballroom that probably cost more to build than your entire neighborhood. He takes a deep breath. The cameras are rolling. The director is watching. And then he sneezes so hard his wig flies clean off his head. That is Bridgerton. Not the show you watch on Netflix with the dramatic music and the longing glances. The real Bridgerton. The one where nothing goes according to plan, where the actors can barely keep a straight face, and where the most expensive set in television becomes the funniest place on earth. Today we are going into the moments the editing room tried to hide from you. The bloopers, the breakdowns, the laughter that would not stop no matter how many times the director yelled cut. And trust me, by the end of this video, you will never watch a serious Bridgerton seen the same way again. Asterisk here is something nobody tells you about making a period drama. The dialogue is brutal. These actors are not just trying to remember their lines. They are trying to remember lines written in a way that no human being has spoken since 1813. Sentences like "I find your lack of decorum most unbecoming." My lord are not exactly the kind of thing you practice at the dinner table. So what happens when the camera starts rolling and the brain just goes completely blank? Magic, absolute, unscripted, beautiful chaos. There is a moment that fans have talked about for years where one of the lead actors is in the middle of a deeply emotional scene. The music is probably going to swell right after this line. The other actor is giving the performance of their life. The crew is silent. And then our lead opens their mouth, starts the sentence, gets about 4 words in, and just stops. Not a dramatic pause. Not an acting choice. A full stop. A total system shutdown. They look at their scene partner. Their scene partner looks at them. And then the giggling starts. Not a little giggle either. The kind of giggle that takes over your whole body. The kind where you put your hand over your mouth trying to hold it in, but it is already too late. The director calls cut. The whole room exhales. And they go again. What makes these moments so entertaining is not just the mistake itself. It is the recovery. Watch any blooper from this cast and you will notice something very specific. Nobody gets embarrassed. Nobody stares at the floor. The second someone messes up a line, the entire energy of the room shifts from serious professional film set to a group of friends who have just heard the funniest thing in the world. That reaction, that immediate warmth, tells you everything about the culture on this set. These people genuinely like each other, and it shows in every single blooper. The forgotten lines are only one part of it though. Some of the best moments come from the mispronunciations. Regency-era English has a particular rhythm and a very specific set of words that trip even experienced actors up. There are names of estates, titles of nobility, Latin phrases dropped into casual conversation as if everyone in 1813 just walked around quoting classical literature. The actors have talked in interviews about how they would rehearse these lines for days and still find themselves in the middle of a take suddenly unsure if they just invented a word or if it was actually in the script. The result is a series of completely priceless moments where a perfectly composed, beautifully dressed character opens their mouth and out comes something that sounds less like Regency English and more like someone trying to speak a foreign language they learned from a pamphlet on the plane. Nobody talks about this enough. The costumes on Bridgerton are not just pretty dresses and sharp coats. They are architectural achievements. The corsets alone take trained professionals to lace up properly. The wigs are built layer by layer to sit at a very specific angle on a very specific part of the head. The gloves have to be pulled on in a certain way. The boots have to be fastened just so. Getting one of these actors fully dressed and camera ready takes longer than most people spend getting ready for an entire week. And after all of that time, all of that effort, all of those hands carefully pinning and pressing and perfecting every single detail, the camera rolls and something falls apart anyway. There is a particular kind of chaos that only a period drama can produce, and it lives entirely in the costume department. Imagine spending 4 hours getting into an outfit that weighs more than a small child. walking onto a set that looks like a painting come to life, standing in your mark, delivering 3 perfect sentences of dialogue, and then watching your wig slide slowly but very visibly to the left, not falling off completely, not staying in place, just drifting, moving at the pace of a very determined snail toward the side of your head while you try with every ounce of professionalism you have to pretend that nothing is happening. Your scene partner sees it. The crew sees it. The camera operator sees it. Everyone sees it except apparently the wig, which is committed to its own journey and has no interest in stopping that specific moment. That moment of pure silent panic where an actor clocks something has gone wrong, but the scene is still technically running, produces a facial expression that no acting school on earth teaches. It is the look of someone who is simultaneously trying to finish a sentence, process a disaster, and decide in real time whether they can power through or if this is simply too far gone. More often than not, it is too far gone. The laughter comes. The take is over, and the poor costume assistant sprints back onto set looking like they have personally failed the entire production, but is not always the wigs. Props are their own special category of betrayal on this show. Bridgerton is full of props that are meant to convey elegance and sophistication. Letters sealed with wax, glasses of champagne, decorative fans that ladies snap open with practiced grace. In theory, these are simple things. In practice, on a long shooting day, when an actor has already done 17 takes of the same scene and their hands are tired and their patience is wearing thin, a simple prop becomes a ticking clock. The fin that is supposed to open smoothly snaps shut at the wrong moment. The champagne glass that should sit perfectly still tips at the exact second the camera is closest. The letter that needs to be handed over with quiet dignity gets fumbled and dropped and slides under the chaise longue, which is not a sentence anyone expected to be part of the blooper history of this show, but here we are. Asterisk, there is a theory that scientists have actually studied, and it goes like this. Laughter is the only human response that spreads faster than it starts. You do not decide to catch someone else's laughter. It just happens. One person goes and suddenly your chest is shaking and you cannot remember what your face was doing before all of this started. Now take that theory and put it inside a room full of some of the most naturally charismatic actors working in television today. Put them in ridiculous outfits. Give them lines about courtship rituals from 200 years ago. Point a camera at them. And then watch what happens when one of them cracks. It is a completely different kind of funny compared to the forgotten lines or the costume disasters. Those are accidents. What happens between this cast when the laughter starts spreading is something else entirely. It is a living thing. It moves from person to person like a wave, and it does not matter how serious the scene was supposed to be or how many times the director has asked everyone to please hold it together this time. The moment one person goes, the cause is lost. You can see it happening in real time in the bloopers. Someone's shoulders start shaking. They press their lips together hard. They look at the ceiling, which everyone does when they are fighting laughter as if there is something up there that might save them. There is never anything up there. It never saves anyone. The laughter always wins. What makes this specific cast so compelling to watch in these moments is that none of them laugh the same way. And that contrast is where the real comedy lives. There are actors on this show who go completely silent when something hits them as funny. No sound, just hair streaming down their face and a look of genuine suffering because they know they are supposed to be in the middle of a scene and their body has simply stopped cooperating. Then there are the ones who laugh with their whole chest, loud and completely unashamed, the kind of laugh that fills the entire room and gives everyone else permission to let go too. And then there is the in-between type, the actor who is fighting it with everything they have, holding their composure by a single thread, getting through one more word and then one more word and then finally, inevitably, completely collapsing. That slow motion breakdown is the funniest thing to watch because you can see the exact moment the battle is lost. The mouth twitches, the eyes go, and that is it. Scene over. Asterisk what these bloopers reveal without ever meaning to is the actual relationship between these people. You cannot fake that kind of laughter. You cannot manufacture the ease that this cast has with each other in these unguarded moments. These are people who have spent enormous amounts of time together, who know exactly what will make the other person break, and who have clearly developed a very specific and deeply unprofessional habit of using that knowledge at the worst possible moments during filming. The result is a collection of moments that feel less like outtakes from a television production and more like footage from a group of friends who happen to be wearing very expensive clothes. Every blooper reel has that one moment, the one that lives rent-free in your head long after the video is over. The one that gets shared in group chats with no context because no context is needed. The one that makes you go back to the beginning and watch the whole thing again just to get back to that specific 30 seconds. For this cast, that moment is not a single accident or a single forgotten line. It is a combination of everything that has been building through this entire reel. The wrong costume, the impossible dialogue, the contagious laughter, all arriving at the exact same time in the exact same take. When it happens, you can see the precise moment the entire set gives up trying to be professional. The director is laughing. The crew is laughing. The actors are somewhere between crying and laughing, and none of them are entirely sure which one it is anymore. The camera is still rolling because at this point nobody remembered to call cut. And in that completely unplanned, completely unscripted, completely uncontrollable moment, something more real and more watchable than anything in the actual show gets captured on film forever. That is the thing about bloopers that people do not always stop to think about. Every single frame of the actual show is controlled. Every camera angle is a decision. Every line reading went through rehearsal and direction and probably 17 takes before it was approved. Every costume is historically researched and carefully constructed. Every set is built to make you feel like you have stepped into another century. The whole machine is designed to create a very specific illusion, and it does that job extraordinarily well. But bloopers exist in the exact space where that machine breaks down. And in that breakdown, in those few seconds where nobody is performing and nobody is directing and nobody is trying to be anything other than a human being who just watched something genuinely funny happen, you see the real people. Not the characters, not the promotional images, not the interviews where everyone is carefully charming and professionally warm. The actual people. Laughing until they cannot breathe in rooms that cost millions of dollars to build. There is something quietly beautiful about that. A show that puts so much effort into transporting you to a world of perfect manners and carefully choreographed romance accidentally reveals, through its own bloopers, that the people making it are none of those things. They are loud and unpolished, and they lose their composure at the worst possible moments, and they absolutely cannot stop laughing at each other. And that messiness, that very human, very un-Regency messiness, is somehow more charming than anything Lord Bridgerton ever did in a ballroom. It makes you love the show differently. Not less, not instead, but deeper. Because now you know what it actually took to make it. Not just the talent and the budget and the beautiful cinematography, but also the laughter. The genuine, unstoppable, completely unprofessional laughter that apparently followed this cast through every single season. So next time you are watching a perfectly composed scene and a character delivers a line with exactly the right amount of emotional weight and the music swells at precisely the right moment and everything feels impossibly polished. Just remember, there is almost certainly a version of that exact scene sitting in a folder somewhere where the wig went sideways, the line came out wrong, and everyone on that set lost their minds laughing about it. And honestly, that version sounds just as worth watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, drop a comment and tell me which cast member you think is secretly the biggest troublemaker on set. And if you want more of these behind-the-scenes moments from your favorite shows, make sure you are subscribed because there is a lot more where this came from.